Hello and welcome back to another one of Paul's beer reviews. I hope you're doing well today. I am going to be reviewing a keg beer, which is going to go into the beer monster behind me. I'm going to be reviewing a Marzen, or a Marzen as it's pronounced in Germany. And I'm going to be doing a bit of a classic. It's from the Aecht Schlenkerla brewery in Bamberg, Germany, and this is a keg of their Marzen. Aecht Schlenkerla have been around since the 1600s. The name came from a guy who used to work there, got a serious injury or something, and the locals used to describe him as the Schlenkerla, which apparently meant he was a bit wobbly. He had like dodgy limbs and all that. So it's a little bit horrible when you think back to it. But the name stuck because people then said, right, let's go down to the Schlenkerla and have a few beers to kind of see the guy. But it's then stuck because they reckon once you've had a few of these, you start wobbling about yourself. So that's where the name comes from. This particular beer, it's very special the way it's done. Like most breweries, when it's malted, the malts that they use are dried in a kiln. Why these guys are different is because they dry the malt using an open fire and under the kiln using beechwood from a local forest. And that fire dries out and smokes the malt. It naturally smokes the malt, so you get a very smoked flavour with this stuff. It's then fermented, aged in rock cellars, which are underneath the brewery. And the temperature within them cellars is about 8 to 10 degrees apparently, which is naturally the perfect sort of fermenting temperature. And it's then lagered for a minimum of 2 months, I understand. And it's then transferred into wooden barrels, where if you go to the Schlenkerla tap room or bar, whatever they call it, beer house, it is served directly from wooden barrels, which is why this beautifully presented keg has kind of given you that wooden barrel look. So that's lovely. So yeah, I'm going to quit waffling. I'm going to get this into the beer monster, and we're going to see if it's any good. So hang about. And welcome back. So the keg's gone into the beer monster. I've chilled it right down to 5 degrees, and I've just poured myself fresh pint, first pint from the keg. It took a little while for the head to go down, but that is expected from a first pint from a fresh keg. I've got an empty bottle of the stuff, so I'm going to put that there for reference. Anyone who likes to see the actual beer. But there it is in the glass. This smoked Schlenkerla Marzen. As you can see, bit of red bleeding through, but it is a very dark lager with a solid 2-finger creamy tan looking head on it. But yeah, dark. Gentle carbonation on that one. The keg's just done enough there just to pump a bit of CO2 into it, so I don't want it too mad. But let's get me snouting, get the aromas. And it's barbecue, smoked meats, you know. Anyone who's not had a smoked malt beer, it's an experience. It takes a little while for your brain to kind of adjust, but it's you can't get past those smoked malts. The aroma is really strong. And we are talking smoked meat, smoked bacon, smoked sausages, things like that. It smells delicious. You kind of don't know whether to take a bite out of it or drink it, you know. Crazy smoked malts, a little bit of earthiness to it, tiny bit of a floral note, but it's very, very slight, and the smoked malts just take over on it. But let's get stuck in, shall we? Cheers. Oh, it's delicious. It's absolutely delicious. It's got the body of the lager, like a slightly more body than most lagers, but it's at the same time it's light, it's drinkable, it glides down, gentle carbonation. But on the front of the palate, the conditioning of the water, one of the first things you notice. It's really soft on the palate. Tiniest bit of floral note that I mentioned, and the aroma comes from the flavour too. But then it's all at the back end, all the flavour to this beer. You're getting that flavour from the smoked malt. There is a slightly kind of sort of woody, oaky kind of flavour like I say, smoked meats, lovely kind of smoked citrusy malt flavour. The body's just a slightly thicker lager. Then in comes the smoked malt character. A touch of bitterness from the hops at the back end. It's just ridiculously drinkable. Ridiculously drinkable. This probably isn't going to be to everyone's taste, you know. It's not the most... I've forgotten my words now. It's not the most changeable style of beer in the world. It's not exactly complex. It is a Marzen, which is essentially a more malty, often more fruity lager. There is a touch of fruit. Having said that, as I'm drinking it, there's a touch of dark fruit, slight touch of raisin. God, the rain is banging down. Excuse me, probably hear that. I got my window open. Rain is lashing down all of a sudden. There's a touch of dark fruit, sort of raisins, almost like a touch of plum, but it's very slight. And then there's that smoked meat flavour from the malts I was telling you about. Touch of bitterness from the hops on the back end. But lovely soft mouthfeel. Glides down. Really thirst quenching. It's 5.1, I believe, this stuff. Yep. 5.1. Obviously, I'm not drinking it out of the bottle, I'm drinking it from the keg. But it's the same ABV. The conditioning is absolutely beautiful. I do feel that the slightly roasted or smoked malts and bitterness is slightly more pronounced on this keg version. I feel as though it's kind of enhanced that smokiness, but it doesn't take anything away from the drinkability of this beer. It is genuinely delicious. It is something I think everyone needs to experience. Smoked malt beers. And the more I drink it, the more I'm getting that dark fruit now. I feel like it's getting fruitier, slightly sweeter as I drink it. It's getting better. It's getting more delicious. There's a little bit more complexity now coming, but it's all at the back end. Up front, it's all about the body. The malts, the body that the malts give you. It is quite luxurious in the way it kind of glides down. It hangs around, it clings to the palate. It's soft. It's ridiculously drinkable. There's that touch of dark fruit. There's that smoked malt character. Touch of bitterness from the hops. And that's a pint polished off in no time whatsoever. It doesn't drink like a 5.1. To be honest, it drinks like, I mean, that could easily be a 4.5. It drinks sessionable. It drinks from a sessionable way. But I say it's just another fantastic bit of German brewing, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it's great. I'm really chuffed I bought it on keg. So I've always enjoyed it from the bottle, but I never reviewed it up until now. So I thought I'd buy a keg of it and do a special version of it. So yeah, the Aecht Schlenkerla Rauchbier beer house with their Marzen, 5.1% ABV. I mean, in the bottle is where you're most likely to get it, and it's exceptional from there as well. You know, just so happened to get it in the keg to go into the beer monster. I think it just gives it an extra half point. It's delicious, really drinkable, and it's just something a little bit different. Just something a little bit different, which kind of keeps you on your toes. So I really enjoy it. I'm going to give this beer a solid 8.5 out of 10. I think it's an experience. It might not be everyone's cup of tea. It might not be your first go-to beer, but it is an experience, and it's beautifully made. And I'd love to actually go to Bamberg and try this stuff from one of their legendary wooden barrels and take all the experience. I think it's something that needs to be done. But it's an 8.5 for me for the Aecht Schlenkerla Rauchbier with their Marzen. Lovely beer. Go check it out if you get the opportunity. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Give it a thumbs up if you have. Until my next one, you take care.